Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 310, and it's May the 6th, 2025, and this is our pre-trip video. And what I mean by that is we're about to leave next Monday for Holland, and that means that this will be the last Idiot Quilter episode for a couple of weeks. However, don't despair, as if you were. There will be videos from Holland, I'm hoping. Anyways, as long as all the technology works out okay, we should be fine. So let's take a look at what I've been working on, though, in the meantime. Barn Star Sampler Quilt. The top is done. I added a couple of borders. I debated on whether I should add borders to it or not, but then I thought, well, wait, let's throw it on the bed before I put any borders on or make a decision about that, and see how it drapes. And yeah, it was just slightly short of the length I wanted, or the width, for hanging over the edges of the bed. So I did add these two borders, an inner one and an outer border. Kind of rated Walter's stash for the colors for this. And I think that worked out really nice. Now, I have a thing about borders on quilts. I like them. And I don't think most quilts, to me, are not completely finished unless there is a border. Now, I know there are some quilt designs, though, that really lend themselves to not having a border. One that comes to mind is when I did the giraffe quilt for my great niece Clara. That was a Tracy Perks design. That one does not have a border. All it has is the binding on the edges. And that one, I think, looks perfect without a border. But most designs that I work with, I want a border. Now, I'm not going to pretend that putting the borders on this was a fun task because they're very long. This quilt measures about 96 inches in length. And yeah, long strips to sew on the edge and to try and keep straight. Excuse me, but I think I did that okay. So now it's got to get on to Lucy. I don't think I'm going to put it on Lucy tomorrow or this week. I want to have a dedicated time for this because it's going to take a while to quilt, even using the computerized system on the long arm. And knowing my relationship to Lucy, it's bound to screw up. Now, having said that, I did a test on a quilt that's basically a quilt made from scraps that I've had laying around for a while, because I played around with the tension back when I was putting the cuddle on the back of the giraffe quilt. And I wanted to make sure before I worked on any serious quilts that my tension was fine. So I practiced on that quilt, and I may have a picture of it. I may not have a picture of it. Yeah, I do have a picture of it later on. You'll see it in a few minutes. And it worked out fine. My tension was good. So yeah, but I'm going to now always make sure that I leave enough extra batting and backing fabric out to the sides of a quilt. I mean, you should leave about 4 to 5 inches or so anyways, but leave a little bit more than that so I can take some test fabrics, lay them on that little spot that isn't part of the quilt on Lucy, and test my tension, just to make absolutely sure. Tension is a bitch on a long arm. We were talking about this on Stephen and Walter Live the other day, and I said, I really wish the APQS people would have I wish they would invent a little device that you could clip onto your existing long arm that has like numbers or something on it, some way of being able to figure out exactly what your tension is just by, if you lighten it up, it's a lower number. If you make it tighter, it's a higher number, something like that. The problem is it's on a spring system with just a screw kind of a deal. So you have to do it by quarter turns one way or the other to, loosen it, tighten it. It's a pain. It's a pain. It's tedious, very tedious. But anyways, enough complaints about that. Sorry that I'm clearing my throat a lot right now. It's the mornings. Do this all the time. Maybe I shouldn't be doing my vlogs first thing in the morning because my throat hasn't awakened yet. Anyways, moving on. Oh, and there it is right there. What the quilt looks like when it's going on the bed. Now that's with the borders, and you can see it's going to hang very nicely on the bed. I just noticed over on one side it looks like there's part of it on the floor, but that's only because I haven't got it really placed on the bed exactly the way I want it, because there'd be a couple of pillows too, you know, and I like to make my bed so that the pillows are underneath the bed spread, or in this case the quilt, and you know, so you sort of tuck them underneath it. That's the way my mother always did it. That's the way I learned to make a bed. But I think it's going to look really nice. And you know, I was a little worried about maybe it clashing with the one we have on the wall, but I don't think it will. Well, it doesn't. Different color scheme, different style, the whole bit, but I really think it makes the room look more interesting than what I had on there before. Okay, so I did do another bag, but this isn't in the hoop bag. This is the Peacock Feather Bag by Sweet Pea Designs. And I think it turned out pretty nicely. On the bottom, I did put faux leather, but now someone's going to say, yeah, look, you still haven't got it, so it comes up on the side. I didn't want it to come up on the side of this bag. I followed their instructions to the letter. For everything on this. Well, that's not completely true. I deviated on the handles because they do the conventional handles where you fold the fabric. You fold fabric strips, you know, over a couple of times and sew them secure. I have been using Adam Sew's method, which is basically use the nylon webbing, but put that on the inside of the fabric. It reinforces it, gives it a little bit more fullness, and it's much stronger. And I like that method for doing it. I think it just gives you more security when you're putting handles on a bag, that you know if the bag gets a little overfilled, the handles aren't going to rip off or break. Okay, and then I told you, oh, and here's another little thing. And this is my latest craze on the 3D printers. I'm making little fobs for the bags. But I'm thinking now, excuse me, looking at this, that what I should do is basically sew the fob onto, you know, the edge of the bag, maybe off to the side, rather than I put it on this ring. This ring isn't really big enough. I can still put it on a ring, but just, you know, put in a few stitches just to secure it. So that's what I'm working on now, and I am working on some really cute little fellows, but I'll have to show those maybe next week when I do my vlog. That'll be the only video next week. Well, as far as my regular ones are concerned. Okay, I'm starting to ramble. Oh, and there's a close-up of it. That's 3D printed. Cute, isn't it? I think it would look really cute in multiple colors if I can do that. Good experiment. Just had that idea. I have an idea. I'm going to pursue that later, maybe today. Okay, here is what I call the orphan scrap quilt. I made this a while ago, and I think I showed you pictures of just the top. Well, I used it as my test piece on Lucy yesterday to check my tension. And as I said, it all worked out very nicely. Now, this one, it isn't meant to be a great quilt. When you make test blocks, I don't know about you, but when I make a test block or something, oftentimes I make it in a color that I'm not going to use in the principal quilt. I just want to make the block to, you know, check measurements and technique. And then I throw them in a box. And in that box, I get quite a few of these accumulating over time. So I pulled them all out of the box and just made them fit into a quilt. It is wonky. Yes, it is very wonky. Points are cut off. Yes, points are cut off because I had to make them fit. I used some coping strips. I had no intention whatsoever of making this into any kind of formal quilt. In fact, I think I may give it to Walter's niece, our niece, for her dog, a dog blanket. I got to check the measurements on it. She has a big dog, so this might be too small. And if I don't think it's going to work for her dog, or she doesn't want it, then the neighbors next door got a cute little dachshund, or as I like to call it, the 2-bite brownie, little Mocha. Finally got my hands on little Mocha the other day. They were out for a walk, and so were we, and we came across them, and they had Mocha with them. And so I got to pet Mocha, the sweetest little thing. It really is a sweet little dog. And you know, I'm a cat person. I like dogs too. But anyways, I was thinking, well, I don't know what Mocha does, where they have Mocha sleeping or stuff like that. Maybe this would be a nice little blanket, you know, quilt for Mocha. We'll see how that all works out. It might be too big. Mocha's very, very tiny and will always be very, very little tiny. It's a toy or a miniature dachshund, I guess, something like that. Anyways, my quilting worked out on this very well. And if anything, it's a colorful quilt, but it's definitely, looks like somebody's first attempt at quilt making. Okay, so what else do I have to show you? Oh yeah, we'll come to that. Okay, so gave you a little sneak peek there of a haul. Come to that in a minute, but first of all, let's talk about Sewing with Stephen this Wednesday, 9 a.m. start time Eastern, and run till about 4. All are welcome. Come and go as you please. Okay, you know the routine because I say it all the time. But this is going to be the last Sewing with Stephen for a couple of weeks because, again, we're going to Holland. We will resume on, I think it's Wednesday in around the 27th, something like that. Basically, it will be the last Wednesday of May. So if you've been thinking but putting it off about coming to one, well, if you don't show up for this one this week, then you're going to have to wait another 2 weeks before there's going to be one. So, you snooze, you lose. And don't be afraid to join us. We're a friendly group. We're a supportive group. We love new people. Absolutely love new people. So, yeah, come. And it doesn't matter what skill level you're at. Rank beginner or someone's been quilting for 50 years. We're all on the same playing field when it comes to this. And there's no politics discussed. We only talk about pleasant things. And we're like-minded people. We talk usually about quilting or what things we could buy, or new fabrics lines, or tools, or techniques, or, grandchildren. Yeah, even that. So yeah, all are welcome. That's on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And the link is in the show notes for that. Okay, I bought 2 hauls of fabric. One I mentioned before, it's this one. This is the new, and this isn't all of them in the collection, but this is the new collection from Northcott called O Canada 13. They come out every year with a new collection in this series. I love the O Canada series, and the reason being is I always use them for Quilts of Valor. So I got this, plus the one on the very far right, not the bluey gray one. One of these things does not belong. We'll talk about that in a second. The one with the maple leaves and looks like stems and things coming from it, out of it, that's a panel. So I don't know if I will design a quilt around that panel or not. I got to think about that today, because you can see over my shoulder, those are leftover pieces, scraps from the steampunk, or not steampunk, where's my mind gone? From the Barnstar sampler. And I had this half in my mind that I could put together a scrappy quilt. I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm losing interest in it already. I was even trying some tricky things with the circular sewing mechanism for my sewing machine, and you can't see them. They're back there, like, and did a little applique on them, and I don't think so. It's not bringing me joy. And you know what I say, if it doesn't bring me joy, I'm not going to do it. So back to the fabric haul here. Anyways, I really love this year's line of the O Canada. And with the exception of one, I think I bought 2 meters. And the only reason of each, the only reason I didn't buy 2 meters of one of them was because they didn't have 2 meters. And they threw in that little fat quarter right there as well. I love Quiltitious. They're in Windsor, Ontario. You've heard me talk about them before. Their customer service is excellent. And they always throw in, at least in my order, and I don't think I'm anybody special here, so they probably do it for everybody. They throw in a little added surprise. And it's not always a fat quarter. I think I got a seam ripper or something from them one time too, which is just a nice little touch. It just makes you feel special. And I think that's what it's all about. If you're going to have good customer relations, make your customers feel like they're important to you, and they do. So that's Quiltitious. You can look them up. And then Ultimate Sewing, my favorite, of course, store, had a sale going on. They had a whole bunch of bolts of fabric they wanted to clear out to make room for their new stuff coming in. I did not see anything on the table with the sail bolts, and it was a good price. I think it was $12.99 or something like that a meter. I mean, that's Canadian prices. That's really good. I mean, their prices are always very good. They're usually about $16, $16.99 a meter on most fabrics. But this was even better. And if you finished off the bolt, you got 30% off. So that was pretty good. Unfortunately, there was nothing on the table that grabbed my interest. There was some tulip pink, but the older stuff, and some Cafe. And you know, I'm done with Cafe. I have been done with Cafe now for several years. Just I loved it. I still like Cafe, but you know, there's only so much you can do with large flowers, and he really hasn't come out with anything new and exciting in quite a while. So I didn't buy that, but I did buy some more Old Canada fabric, the older lines, because I love to have that stuff in stock. And I bought some bag hardware as well. Some of that was on sale. The rose gold ones were on for 30% off. And I found out why. People just don't want rose gold anymore. That's what one of the sales staff told me. So they're basically not getting it in. So yeah, it was trendy for a while, right? I mean, I'm not a real fan of rose gold, but I don't hate it either. And it was 30% off, and I figured, yeah, it'll look fine on a bag. What the heck? So, yeah, that's what I was buying. Okay, so that takes me to what we did last week on So Chatty. On So Chatty, I did my guild presentation, the one that I gave in person, and I had people ask me about it. So I thought, well, I'll do it virtually for you on So Chatty. And I've gotten a lot of comments saying that people really enjoyed that. So that's a good thing. If you haven't seen it yet, it's about is about me and my journey from paper crafter to quilter, and how I became the idiot quilter as well. That's what the guild asked me to talk about, and so that's what I did. And you can partake in that at your leisure. It's on the channel. It's last week So Chatty. What are we going to talk about this week? Okay. We got thinking about this. We didn't want to start anything terribly new, like a new series, until we come back from Holland, and that's when we're going to deconstruct and reconstruct the bag that I made, the dragon bag. I'm not actually going to make another dragon bag, but I'm going to make one similar, and Walter's going to make one too. In fact, we've picked Christmas as our theme for this, and Walter's going to show me what it was that I was struggling with and why I didn't get the end result that I wanted on that first bag. So between him showing me and me doing, in a sense, it'll be like a tutorial, but it's not a tutorial. But I'm sure you'll get some interesting tips from Walter because he is the bag master. So that's going to start up after we get back from Holland. So in the meantime, what are we going to do? Well, I got thinking about this. And I've been talking to some of the ladies that come on the So Days and things like that. And one of our topics of discussion was about retreats, because this time of the year, there are a lot of retreats happening, and into the summer and into the fall. And, everybody has mixed experiences when they go to a retreat. And I've been to a number of in-person retreats, and I've done a number of virtual retreats as well. So I thought it would be interesting to not so much talk about it from the point of view of an attendee, because we've done that, but talk about it from the point of view as to what someone planning a retreat, the host of the retreat, should really take into consideration if they want to have, one, repeat customers, and two, if they want to make sure it runs smoothly and their customers come away going, that was the most fantastic thing I have ever been to. Because there's a lot of retreats happening out there now that are being advertised, like cruise retreats and things like that. And these are just basically money grabs, in my opinion. Your experience may differ, okay? But it wouldn't take a heck of a lot for someone putting one of these retreats together, not just cruise retreats, just even a regular in-person retreat. A couple of things they could do that would make the experience for their attendees absolutely wonderful, and also would probably give them less headaches as well as the planner of the retreat. So that's what we're going to talk about on Friday, this coming Friday on So Chatty. Okay, so that takes me to Subscribers Quilt of the Week, and this comes from a friend of the channel's, and that is Colleen Pigeon. We've seen her lovely creations before, and here's another one for us to enjoy. This week's quilt from a subscriber comes from Colleen Pigeon, and we have seen many of Colleen Pigeon's lovely creations before, and this is another one. And she says, I'm sending you a couple of my quilts. The first one is from a while ago and now lives in Ohio, where some of the fabric to make it originated. A friend there had collected wildlife fabric but was unable to find a suitable pattern. She asked me to give it a try, and this is the result. The second one, and let's move to the second one. Just have to find my cursor for sliding things over. Here it is. The second one is a lap version of Standing Tall from Cedar Quilt Company. Last year, 2 garment sewing bloggers did a sew-along featuring this pattern. I gave it to a friend here. So let's go back to the first one and see what Colleen's talking about incorporating this wildlife fabric. And yes, and Colleen did a wonderful job of incorporating it in with some traditional blocks. And she's obviously done a little bit of fussy cutting as well. So that's absolutely wonderful. And it's got a very outdoorsy look to it. And then, of course, the second one here that's done with the stripes, Standing Tall. Again, very nice use of color here. Also, this would be a great quilt, I think, for getting rid of scraps or, strips of fabric that you have laying around as well. So both are absolutely wonderful, and I thank you, Colleen, for sharing them with us. So that takes us to, before I move on to that, I need some quilts to show. So if you have a picture, one picture only, please, of one of your creations that you love, whether it be a quilt, a bag, a garment, whatever, please send it along with me with a blurb, 50 words or less is good, about it, and I'll be happy to share it on a future episode of the Idiot Quilter. I'm hoping to get a few of these from you before we leave for the trip so I can get them, in advance prepared for my episodes, but I'll take them at any time. Okay, YouTube of the week. A couple of weeks ago, I reviewed a little gadget called the Magic Binding Maker. And my review of it wasn't that favorable. I said that it was a great idea in concept, but it really needed some refinement, and I pointed out what those refinements should be in that video at that time. Well, I came across what's he call himself? I used to watch him a lot when he was a crafter. Now he's a quilter, so I don't watch him quite as frequently, but I still watch him at times. Ian from Off Kilter Crafter. Yeah. He did a review on this same gizmo as well. And so I was really interested to hear what he had to say about it too. So here's my review of that video clip. This week's YouTube clip comes from a very well-known content creator, Off Kilter Crafter, Ian, who moved from being a crafter on YouTube to being a quilt maker on YouTube. And here he is reviewing one of the products that I reviewed a few weeks ago, and this caught my attention because I want to see what his review would be like compared to mine. Now, this is for the Magic Binding Maker, as you know. And my review of it did not really give it a favorable review. I thought that it had hit the market a little prematurely. There were some flaws in its design that needed to be addressed. So I found what Ian had to say about it very interesting as well. Now, Ian did skirt around some of the major issues I noticed, and maybe those weren't a problem for him like they were for me. But I also wonder sometimes, is he being sponsored? You know how sometimes YouTube channel creators are sponsored by other products, so it's very difficult to give a really honest review of a product. On the other hand, maybe he just is better at using it than I am. Either way, I think you should watch this video of his review of the Magic Binding Maker and make up your own mind. So that takes me to future projects, and I'm starting to run out of future projects, believe it or not. I think I have reviewed, oh, 250 patterns. No, it can't be that many. Maybe more like 170 patterns over the last few years. Some of them I have done, some of them I haven't. I have to go back and review my videos to see what they were. So I may be starting to back off on that segment, but don't despair. I have a new segment I'm going to talk about in a moment. But in the meantime, I've been falling in love with Giuce patterns. Haven't made one yet, but I got a bunch of them because they're free. Many of them are free that I like. And this is another free one, and it's called Beneath. This week's future project is by Giuce, and it's called Fabric from the Basement. Actually, the quilt design itself is called Beneath Quilt, and it was designed by Giuce. And you know, I've been on a Giuce kick lately. I haven't yet made one of his designs, but I want to give them a go. This one looks like it might be a bit of a challenge as I take a look at the border, but I think maybe the border, that is part of the fabric line he's using with this. His fabric requirements, there's a lot of fabric in this. Well, a lot of small pieces of fabric, because most of this under the yardage looks like it's just fat quarters. So I think this is one, if you weren't using the exact same fabric as he used in this pattern, there's a little bit of planning here you're going to have to do to make sure you get your colors right. And you can see here he has all the cutting directions for this as well. And he is doing, it looks like, he is doing a drunkard's path circle too. So I think this pattern is when I'm looking for something that's going to be a real challenge. And I wouldn't necessarily do it in these colors. I'd find something else. But yeah, that's a future project, and that may be on the back burner for quite some time. But nevertheless, I love his designs because they're challenging and they're different and they're very modern. So that's Beneath by Giuce. And you can click on the link in the show notes, and it's a free PDF pattern. So as I said, if you go to the Andover Fabric site, you can get many of Giuce's patterns for free. If you like modern, because they are very modern for the most part. Okay, so new segment I have decided. I'm calling it What's Twisting My Seams? And basically, I'm going to show you a picture of one piece of fabric that's in my stash that I bought who knows how long ago and have probably forgotten that it's in my stash, and explain why it is I bought it and what I thought I might do with it if I had any plans at all. So here is what I'm talking about. I've decided to start a new segment on the Idiot Quilter. I thought maybe it'd be time to do something a little different. And so I got this idea that, you know, we have a lot of fabrics in our stash that we bought at one point in time because we didn't maybe necessarily had a plan for it, but we really liked it. It caught our eye, and I definitely have a lot of those fabrics. And I thought it's time to revisit some of these and to really think about why it was I bought it in the first place and what I could do with it down the road. So I took a look in my stash and I found this piece of fabric with all the cats on it. This is called Crazy Cats. And it is by a designer called Dean Russo, Russo. Now, this is a pattern that I think may be out of print. Out of print. But I did do a search on the internet, and there are some Etsy shops and a few other shops that claim that they do have some of it in stock. Now, what appeals to me about this is, of course, it's of cats. I love cats, and I love rainbow colors. So this piece of fabric no doubt caught my eye because of those two factors. What do I want to do with it? I have no idea. I think it's one of those kinds of fabric where you would probably want to do fussy cutting because you don't really want to cut off a cat's head or paws or ear because they're just too stinking cute. I think it would make a great tote bag as well. So yeah, I really love this. If I had 3 meters of it, I'd have Walter make a shirt out of it for me. And you've seen some of my kitty shirts before. I do have a thing for it, as I said. But yeah, that's what's twisting my seams this week. What's twisting your seams? I would love to see a picture or two from you of something that you have in your stash that really grabbed your interest. And I want you to send me that picture. And I'd like you to tell me the name, if you can find it, of the fabric. And also what you might do with it, or what have you done with it, because maybe it's a leftover piece from a previous project. So that's going to be the new segment on the Idiot Quilter. What's twisting my seams is what I'm calling the segment. And yeah, I need your input. So please look through your stash, take a picture of something that's really grabbing you, and write me a really short blurb as to what it was about that piece of fabric that compelled you to purchase it. Now, this is for you. What I would like you to do is take a picture of one piece of fabric that's in your stash that you have come across, that you thought at the time when you bought it you were going to do something wonderful with it, or it caught your eye for some reason, and I want you to send me that picture and a short little blurb explaining to me what it was that you really liked about this piece of fabric, what caught your eye at the time when you saw it and had to have it, and did you have any plans for it at any time, or have you already carried out your plans and made it into something? If you want to send a little picture along of what you made with it as well, that would be great. So that's what's twisting my seams, and I'm really leaving it up to you to send me a picture of some fabric. And this may work in other things too. If the fabric hasn't been discontinued yet, and there's nothing saying that you have to send me a picture of something that's current. It doesn't have to be current at all. Maybe something that is rare, something that we probably can't get anymore, whatever. But it will, if it is something that happens to be, still available, people may want to get it. So if you can tell us as much about the piece of fabric as you know, as in, manufacturer, designer, that kind of stuff, that would be great as well. The blurb does not have to be long, under 50 words. Okay, just keep it short, simple, to the point. And I'll feature it on here. Okay, so I've shown you pretty much what I was working on last week, but I've always have a few other little projects in the, in the background as well. So here's what I've been working on in the past week. So what have I been working on this week? Well, you can see my project table isn't getting any more empty. Yes, I did finish the top for the Barnstar Sampler quilt, which you've already seen. But yeah, I've got all this fabric left over, and I've got to get that reorganized and put away. I've been making these little baskets, as you can see. They're really cute, and they come out really well, and they're quite strong as well. I don't know what I'll do with them. I made a couple of them. But I'm thinking they might be good for potential gifts. I did get a lot more of the O Canada line of fabric that I like to use in my Quilts of Valor quilts. And this basket here contains some of the newest collection, the O Canada 13 collection. So yeah, lots of things on there to work on. And over here, I have my basket of fobs. Yeah, I got maybe a little carried away, and I showed you pictures of these earlier on the vlog. And my idea is to, when I make bags or things, put a bunch of them together and attach them to the handles of the bags. And speaking of bags, you've seen this as well, but this is my peacock feather bag, and there's one of my little fobs on it already. And this week coming, Walter and I, or not this week, after we come back from Holland, we're going to be doing a new series. Probably won't be a series, it'll probably be one video, where Walter's going to show me how to make a bag in his manner of making bags. So in preparation for that, I've worked on the front panel, just the embroidery on it. It will be a Christmas bag. I picked a Christmas bag because Walter's working on a Christmas bag, and I figured 2 Christmas bags would be good. And on the embroidery machine right now, I'm just finishing up the other side of the bag too, as you can see. Gnome theme here. So I've been working all of that. I did make a couple of things on the 3D printer. Right now they're quiet, as you can see. I've got to clean out the bamboo. There's little bits and pieces get caught down here underneath. A bit of a reflection if I open up the door. Down in here, this is a real trap for little pieces of filament, you know, cast off pieces. So I need to clean them up. I need to clean up all of the printers for that matter. And out in the Lucy room, and I won't go out there, I've got some quilts that need to be quilted. I cleaned Lucy up the other day, and I'm hoping sometime this week that I get one or two of those quilts quilted before we leave for Holland. Yeah, so I haven't got a whole lot done, but then again, I did get a lot done, I guess. So that was my week. And that takes me to the last segment of today's episode, and it is, of course, a review of an online quilt store. And this one is called European Textiles. This week's online quilt store is called European Textiles, and it's in Hamilton, Ontario. Now, this is one that, as you can see from the pictures, has more than just quilting cotton. But we'll come to the quilting cotton in a second. But if we look at the home page, you can see they have home decor fabrics. They do have quilting and fashion and kids fabrics as well. And they look like they're a fairly large store in Hamilton as well. So they have more than just quilting cotton. And that's not so bad if you're a bag maker or clothing or a garment sewer as well as a quilter. So they have lots of that kind of variety too. Bulk separating zippers, they say they have, so you can get zippers from them. Burrito pillowcase, it must be a kit. They have a mystery box, and they've got a whole lot of things. So let's jump right into their quilting and fashion. Okay, and let's go down to, I think they have a category for quilted. They have quilted fabric and they have quilting fabric. We may come back to the quilted fabric. And they have over 1,300 pieces to select from. And price-wise, $16.98 a meter. That is a fairly good price. Very good price, actually. Even $15.98 a meter for some. Do they have anything higher than that? Let's just jump a few pages and see. No, it looks like, generally speaking, their quilting fabric is all $16.98 a meter. That is a really good price. Now, I'm not sure about their shipping. We'll come to that in a minute. Let's just jump ahead further on and see. Now, there's some for $17.98. So I wonder if these are organized. The further along you go, $18.98, the higher the price, but still those prices are good. 17, 16. No, it doesn't look like it's really organized by that. So it looks like you can get fabric for as low as $13.98 a meter and as high as $18.98 a meter. So all very good prices, and looks like they have a fairly good selection. Now let's take a look though at some of their others. There's a whole listing on the left-hand side. They have fireside, they have felt, flannels, interfacing, kids' cottons, minky, netting, notions, nylon and waterproof, polar fleece, quilted fabrics, etc. Let's take a look at the quilted fabric. Okay, here you go. So you want to do a cheater thing? And that's not a bad price for that either, $16.99 a meter. Okay, what about batting though? Do they have batting? Right here. And they have Hobbs Heirloom 80/20, 96-inch, $18.99 a meter. That's pretty good. Canadian polyester batting. Oh, polyester, $20.99 to $35.99. I wonder if that's on the roll or comes in packages. Yeah, it looks like it comes in a package. Well, does it? $20.99? No, you're not getting a package that size for $20.99. Well, it is polyester. So, not really sure about that. Let's go back. 108-inch Hobbs Poly down. They have Quilter's Dream. Quilter's Dream Select. Now they do sell it from the roll by the meter, $30.99 for 121-inch. Whoa, that's wide. 92 is $24.99. Okay, and they have bamboo. Prices seem reasonable and not the best selection, but not that bad a selection. Okay, what else can we check that's over here? Well, let's just take a look at apparel fabrics and see what they have. Ooh, looks like they have everything. Now, I'm not a garment sewer, so none of this means a heck of a lot to me. And so price-wise, I couldn't even comment on it. But as I said before, if you're a garment sewer, you may want to check this out as well. They do have tablecloth. They have tea toweling. How much for tea toweling? Oh, $7.99 a meter. That's not bad. And they're pretty much standard, what you'd expect in tea toweling fabric. Okay, so they do have home decor as well. So the fabrics, furniture, hardware, notions, outdoor fabric, etc. So let's just see what they've got under fabrics. And they have everything listed on the left-hand side. And again, price-wise, I think is fairly reasonable for most of it. Some of it's on a little bit pricier side, but I guess it depends on what use you're going to put it to, whether you're making curtains, covering furniture, whatever. Okay, what else can we talk about here? Well, they did have a section kids. So where did I see that? Kids cottons. So fun prints for kids. How many of these they have? 312. Prices seem to vary from about $17.98 to $19.98. Again, reasonable and a fair selection. Okay, so I'm fairly impressed because when I saw European Textiles, I wasn't really thinking that they would have much in line for quilters, but apparently they do. Now, do they sell thread and things like that? Let's see. Let's go back up into here. And let's see where they might have that. Notions and supplies. They have spray basting, pens, zippers, tape, buttons. They have a lot of products. They have a lot of buttons. Do buttons go forever? No, here's a few other things. Sewing basket. Okay, so, they have a good selection of buttons, it looks like. But they have all the other usual notions. Oh, thread. Here's thread right here. This is what I'm interested in. Okay, elastic thread, invisible thread, Gutermann. Looks like they sell Gutermann. Do they sell anything else? They have surging thread, but it looks like they handle only Gutermann thread. And price-wise, I don't buy Gutermann, so I'm not sure if these are great prices. I suspect with thread, it's probably fairly standard across the board. Anything else we need to look at? They do machine repair. Well, they call it repair, but it's just really tools. Do they sell sewing machines? Sewing baskets? Doesn't look like they sell sewing machines. Okay, now what I'm really interested in finding out is shipping. So let's go to the bottom of the page and see if there's a section for shipping. Don't see anything, but maybe under policies and FAQs. Says we currently ship to Canada and USA. Orders are shipped either by Canada Post or ground courier. They don't tell us, though, what their price is, and it doesn't look like they're offering anything like free shipping on anything either. So the only way we could find out what the cost would be, and I suspect it's whatever the going cost is, depending on how much you order, from Canada Post. So yeah, so that is something that I don't find appealing, but it's not definitely not turning me off of looking at fabrics in more detail and possibly ordering from them as well. So European textiles, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, I think I'll give them a solid 6, only because they have more than just quilting cotton, and so my attention is diverted by that. Plus, I don't know how much shipping is going to be until I fill my cart and go to checkout. And I would have liked to have seen that up front. Also, I would have liked to have seen some incentive with free shipping if you bought $100, $200 of their product. Definitely, though, if I was in Hamilton, I think I would drop into their store because it looks like they have a lot of variety and a lot of things to choose from in store. So that's at European Textiles. Okay, so what's coming up? The trip. Yep. And So Chatty, well, Sewing with Stephen on Wednesday, So Chatty on Friday, and Stephen and Walter live on Sunday as well. We're getting ready to go on our trip to the Netherlands, as I've already mentioned. And so that's going to take up some time too, because now I've got to start organizing my crap that I'm taking to the Netherlands with me. And we're traveling very light this time. So like basically a backpack, a small backpack, not even a suitcase. So we'll see how that works out. I may be roaming the streets of the Netherlands naked. No, I don't think the Dutch people deserve that at all. That would be horrible punishment. Anyways, I digress. So this is the last episode of the Idiot Quilter until we come back from our trip. So in the meantime, I hope you have a good couple of weeks. We'll be pretty much getting towards the end of May. Yeah, when we come back. And then we have the Canadian Quilt Show. We've already got our tickets for that. So yeah, there's lots of stuff coming up. So this should be really interesting. And if I buy fabric in the Netherlands, and I'm not really going to the Netherlands to buy fabric, but if I see something that's I can't get here in one form or another, something very unique and it grabs my interest, then I'll be sure to pick some of it up and I'll be sure to show it with you. And as I said, there will be videos, hopefully, from the Netherlands while we're over there too. So, the best way to keep up on that is to hit the bell, and you may get a notification or you may not, because that's a hit and miss. YouTube really needs to fix that. But anyways, that's it for me this week. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again soon, probably in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.